Good morning and welcome back. In this video, we will learn about the second chapter of 11th class biology NCERT, which is named as the biological classification. This chapter is very important from the point of view of NPSC state services as well as UPSC preliminary examination. So let's start the discussion. Chapter 2nd, Biological Classification. Concepts we will learn after watching this lecture are 5 kingdom classification of living organisms, Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Algae, Kingdom Fungi, viruses, viroids, prions, and lichens. Let us discuss one by one. Earlier attempts of biological classification. Here, Aristotle was the first to attempt classification of living organisms on scientific basis, on the basis of morphological characteristics. Here, morphological means external characteristics. He classified plants and animals. Okay, he subdivided plants into three categories, which is trees, shrubs, and herbs, and subdivided animals into animals which possess red blood and which didn't. After that, two kingdom classification was discovered. In his Systema Naturae, first published in 1735, Carlos Linnaeus distinguished two kingdom of living things, that is Animalia for animals and Plantae for plants. He classified all living organisms into two kingdoms on the basis of nutrition and locomotion. Here locomotion means mobility. Okay. After that, most important part is five kingdom classification, which was discovered by R.H. Whittaker. R.H. Whittaker proposed a five kingdom classification. The kingdom defined by him were Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. The main criteria for his classification used by him include cell structure, then body organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction, and phylogenetic relationship. In this table, you can see the comparative difference between five kingdom classification. Here, in Monera, kingdom Monera, cell type is prokaryotic, while in other four categories, cell type is eukaryotic. The cell wall structure. In Monera, cell wall is non-cellulosic, which is made up of polysaccharide and amino acid. In Protista, cell wall is present but not in all. Okay. In Fungi, cell wall is present, which is made up of chitin. Fungi, chitin, you have to remember this. Plantae, cell wall is present, which is made up of cellulose. And in Animalia, animals, cell wall is absent. So, except animals, in all other four kingdoms, cell wall is present. Okay. Then nuclear membrane. In Monera, nuclear membrane is absent. In Protista, it is present. Fungi present, and Plantae and Animalia also it is present. Okay. Then the next characteristics is body organization. Monera is most basic organisms. Okay, Monera. So its body organization is cellular. Protista is also cellular. Fungi multicellular. Plantae tissue level organization, and animal tissue organ or organ system level organization. Okay. Next characteristics is mode of nutrition. In Monera, autotrophic means they can synthesize their own food. Protista, autotrophic, and heterotrophic both. Fungi, heterotrophic. Fungi cannot synthesize its own food, so it is only heterotrophic, not autotrophic. Plantae, autotrophic, and Animalia, heterotrophic. Let us move to the next slide. Kingdom Monera. Bacteria are the sole members of the kingdom Monera. Okay. They are the most abundant microorganisms. This is important. Bacteria occur almost everywhere. Hundreds of bacteria present in a handful of soil. They also live in extreme habitats such as hot spring, desert, snow, and deep oceans, where very few other life forms can survive. Many of them live in or on other organisms as parasites. Bacteria are grouped under four categories based on their shape: the spherical coccus, the rod shaped bacillus, the comma shaped vibrium, and the spiral spirillum. See, this can be asked in the examination. There are four types of bacteria on the basis of their body structure: cocci, bacilli, spirilia, and vibrio. Vibrio is comma shaped, cocci is rod circular. Okay. In this image, you can see the subclassifications of Monera, kingdom Monera. So in Monera, there are subcategories such as cyanobacteria, thermoacidophiles, halophiles, methanogens, spirochetes, proterobacteria, and gram-positive bacteria. Let us discuss one by one. Classification of bacteria: Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. See, the Archaebacteria is special since they live in some of the most harsh habitats, such as extremely salty areas, which is known as halophiles, or hot springs. Uh, the bacteria which live in hot springs are known as thermoacidophiles. Okay, this is very important. Bacteria which can survive in salty areas are halophiles, and which can survive in marshy areas are methanogens. Archaebacteria differ from other bacteria in having a different cell wall structure, and this feature is responsible for their survival in extreme conditions. Methanogens are present in the gut of several ruminant animals, such as cows and buffaloes, and they are responsible for the production of methane from the dung of these animals. So, biogas is very important for us from the point of view of energy. Uh, so, biogas is made up with the help of methanogens, which are archaebacteria. In this image, you can see the structure of archaebacteria. Okay, let us move to the next type of bacteria, which is eubacteria. See, there are thousands of different eubacteria or true bacteria. True bacteria. They are characterized by the presence of a rigid cell wall and if motile, a flagellum. See, flagellum is organism for movement of bacteria. Okay. The cyanobacteria, also referred as Bruggen algae, which is BGA, have chlorophyll, as similar green plants, and photosynthetic autotrophs. The cyanobacteria are unicellular, colonial, or filamentous, freshwater or marine or terrestrial algae. The colonies are generally surrounded by gelatinous sheath. They often form blooms in polluted water bodies. You must have learned about the algal blooms in the environment, which is caused by cyanobacteria. Okay. So algal bloom is the cause of pollution of water bodies. Some of these organisms can fix atmospheric nitrogen in specialized cells called heterocytes. For example, nostoc and Annabella. Chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria oxidize various inorganic substances such as nitrites, and ammonia and use the release energy for their ATP production. They play a great role in recycling nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron, and sulfur. Okay, so eubacteria are important for humans as they play great role in recycling nutrients. Okay, let us move to the next slide. Now, after learning the kingdom Monera, we will learn about the kingdom Protista. So, what constitutes Protista? All single cell eukaryotes are placed under Protista, but the boundaries of this kingdom are not well defined. What may be a photosynthetic protistan to one biologist may be plant to another. So, from NCERT point of view, we include chrysophytes. See the right image on the right side, chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime moths, and protozoans. These five subcategories are uh, uh, classified under kingdom Protista. Okay, members of Protista are primarily aquatic. So not there can be terrestrial, but most of them are aquatic. This kingdom forms a link with other dealing with plants, animals, and fungi. Being eukaryotic, the protist cell body contains a well-defined nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. Some have flagella or cilia. Protists reproduce asexually, or bisexually by a process involving cell fusion and zygote formation. Okay, so let us discuss the subtypes one by one. Chrysophytes. This group includes diatoms and golden algae. They are found in fresh water as well as marine environment. They are microscopic and float passively in water currents. Most of them are photosynthetic. In diatoms, see diatoms are the subcategory of chrysophytes. The cell walls form two thin overlapping shells which fit together as in soap box. The walls are embedded with silica and thus the walls are indestructible. See the silica is inorganic, so walls are indestructible. Thus diatoms have left behind a large amount of cell wall deposits in their habitat. This accumulation over billions of years is referred as diatomaceous earth. This point is very important. In this image, you can see a sample of food grade diatomaceous earth. It is used for um, various uses. Okay, being gritty, this soil is used in polishing, filtration of oils and syrups. It is used in filtration of oils, syrups, and polishing. Diatoms are the chief producers of the ocean. This sentence is important. Diatoms are the chief producers of the ocean. Let us move to the next subcategory, which is dinoflagellates. These organisms are mostly marine and photosynthetic. Dinoflagellates appear in yellow, green, brown, blue, or red, depending on the main pigments present in their cells. The cell wall has stub cellulose plates on the outer surface. Most of them have two flagella. One lies longitudinally and the other transversely in a furrow between the wall plates. Very often, red dinoflagellates undergo such rapid multiplication that they make the sea appear red tides. This phenomenon is very important, red tide. Red tide is caused by dinoflagellates. Okay. Toxins released by such large numbers may even kill other marine animals such as fishes. So dinoflagellates are detritus to the fishes if they are grown beyond the specific population. Let us move to the next slide. Euglenoids. In this right side, you can see the image of euglenoids. Majority of euglenoids are freshwater organisms found in stagnant water. Instead of a cell wall, they have a protein-rich layer called pellicle, which makes their body flexible. They have two flagella, a short and long one. See in the right image on the right side, this is the short flagella and this is a long flagella. Okay. Interestingly, the pigments of euglenides are identical to those present in higher plants. For example, euglena. Okay. Let us move to the next point, which is slime molds. Slime molds are saprophytic protists. The body moves along decaying twigs and leaves engulfing organic material. Under suitable conditions, they form an aggregation called plasmodium, which may grow and spread over several feet. During unfavorable conditions, the plasmodium differentiates and forms fruiting bodies bearing spores at their tips. The spores possess two walls. So in Plasmodium, there is wall and which is true wall. Okay, they are extremely resistant and survive for many years, even under adverse conditions. The spores are dispersed by air currents. Now, the next subcategory of kingdom Protista, which is protozoans. All protozoans are heterotrophs and live as predators or parasites. So, see, no protozoan can make its own food. They are dependent on other living organisms for their food. Okay. They are believed to be primitive relatives of animals. There are four major groups of protozoans. First is amoeboid protozoan. You must have learned about the amoeba, which is not uniform structure, which changes its structure. Okay, the organisms live in fresh water, seawater, or moist soil. They move and capture their prey by putting out pseudopodia or false feet, as in amoeba, marine forms of silica shells on their surface. Some of them, such as antiamoeba, are parasites. Next one is flagellated protozoans. The members of this group are either free living or parasitic. They have flagella. The parasitic form cause disease such as sleeping sickness, for example, trypanosoma. Third one is ciliated protozoans. They are aquatic, actively moving organisms because of the presence of thousands of cilia. That is why the name is ciliated protozoans. They have a cavity that opens to the outside of their cell surface. The coordinated movement of rows of cilia causes the water laden with food to be steered into gullet, for example, paramecium. Then last one is sporozoans. This include diverse organisms such as that have an infection spore-like stage in their life cycle. The most notorious is Plasmodium, malaria parasites. This is very important. Malaria is the disease which causes most number of deaths in Africa. Malaria is caused by Plasmodium, which is subcategory of protozoa. Okay, let us move to the next slide. After learning the kingdom Monera and Protista, we will learn about the kingdom Fungi. The fungi constitute a unique kingdom of heterotrophic organisms. They show a great diversity in morphology and habitat. You must have seen the fungi on the moist bread and rotten fruits. The common mushroom you eat and toadstools are also fungi. Here you can see the image of mushroom, okay, common mushroom or button mushroom. White spots seen on mustard leaves are due to a parasitic fungus. Some unicellular fungi, yeast, are used to make bread and beer. Yeast is nothing but unicellular fungi. Okay, not it is not multicellular. Other fungi causes diseases in plants and animals, where rust causing Puccinia is an important example. Some of the source of antibodies, for example, penicillium. Penicillium is the one of the first antibody which was made to fight with the bacteria. Okay, and one more thing which is to remember is antibody cannot work against viruses, but it can work only against bacteria. Okay. Next point, fungi are cosmopolitan and occur in air, water, soil, and animals and plants. They prefer to grow in warm and humid places. Have you ever wondered why we keep food in refrigerator? Yes, it is to prevent food from going bad due to bacterial or fungal infections. With the exception of yeast, which are unicellular, fungi are filamentous. Their body consists of long, slender thread-like structures called hyphae. The network of hyphae is known as mycelium. See, fungi are classified on the basis of mycelium, and mycelium is nothing but the network of hyphae. This point is very important. Okay, the network of hyphae is known as mycelium. Some hyphae are continuously filled with multinucleated cytoplasm. These are called sinusoidal hyphae. Okay. The cell walls of fungi are composed of chitin and polysaccharides. Most fungi are heterotrophic and absorb soluble organic matter from dead substrate such as hence are called saprophytes. See, the organisms which can absorb soluble organic matter from dead substrates are called saprophytes. Those that depend on living plants and animals are called parasites. They can also live as symbionts in association with algae, as lichens, with roots of higher plants such as mycorrhiza. See, algae plus fungi, lichens, and fungi plus roots of higher plants is known as mycorrhiza. Different classes of fungi. First one is phycomycetes. Members of phycomycetes are found in aquatic habitats and on decaying wood in moist and damp places, such as obligate parasites on plants. The mycelium is aseptate and synocytic. Asexual reproduction takes place by zoospores, which are motile, or by aplanospores, non-motile. Zoospores are motile and aplanospores are non-motile. These spores are endogenously produced in sporogenium. Okay. Examples are rhizopus and albugo, the parasitic fungi which is grown on mustard plant. Albugo. Okay. And rhizopus is the bread mold which mentioned earlier. See, we can sometimes see the bread blackens if it is kept um, for a long time. Okay. Which is caused by the fungi rhizopus. Okay. Next point is ascomycetes, commonly known as sac fungi. The ascomycetes are mostly multicellular, for example, penicillium, or rarely unicellular, for example, yeast or Saccharomycetes. Ascomycetes constitute penicillium and yeast. They are saprophytic, decomposers, parasitic, or coprophilous. Coprophilous means the fungi which grow on dung. Mycelium is branched and septate. The asexual spores are conidia produced exogenously on the special mycelium called conidiphos. Conidia is a germination produced mycelium. Sexual spores are called ascospores, which are produced endogenously in sac-like asci. Okay. Many members like morels and truffles are edible and are considered delicacies. Morels and truffles are eaten and they are the examples of ascomycetes. Next class of fungi, basidiomycetes. Commonly known form of basidiomycetes are mushroom, bracket fungi or pugballs. So the common mushroom is the nothing but basidiomycete. They grow in soil, on logs and tree stumps and in living plant bodies as parasites. For example, rust and smut. The mycelium is branched and septate. The asexual spores are generally not found, but vegetative reproduction by fragmentation is common. The sex organs are absent, but plasmogamy is brought about the fusion of two vegetative or somatic cells of different strains or genotypes. Examples are Ustilago and Puccinia, which is rust fungus. Okay. Next point is Deuteromycetes, sorry, commonly known as imperfect fungi. Deuteromycetes is imperfect fungi because only the asexual or vegetative phases of this fungi are known. When the sexual forms of this fungi were discovered, they were moved into classes they rightly belong to. So the sexual parts of this fungi are constituted in the plants, but the basic parts are in deuteromycetes. Deuteromycetes reproduce only by asexual spores known as conidia. The mycelium is septate and branched. Examples are Alternaria, Trichoderma. Now, these are the organisms which are seen in this slide. For example, viruses, viroids, prions, and lichens. These are not included in the five kingdom classification. Okay, so let us discuss one by one. Viruses and viroids. This is very important from the current for the current situation, as we are pandemic situation which is caused by the coronavirus. Please take the screenshot of this slide. Okay, let us discuss about the viruses first. The viruses are non-cellular organisms that have inert crystalline structure outside the living cell. Viruses are not truly living. See, viruses are cannot be considered as living or non-living. They are the intermediate of both. Okay. Once they infect living cell, they can take over the machinery of the host cell to replicate themselves. The name virus was coined by Dmitry Ivanovsky. He was a Russian scientist, Dmitry Ivanovsky. Viruses are obligate parasites. Fifth point is viruses consist of protein plus genetic material, either DNA or RNA, but never both. See, one virus cannot contain both the genetic material DNA or RNA. It is only one type. Okay. The next point is viruses cause diseases like mumps, smallpox, herpes, influenza, AIDS, COVID-19, etc. You should know the basics of these diseases. Okay. Symptoms can be mosaic formation, leaf flowering, curling, yellowing in plants. There are two kinds of viruses: animal viruses and plants viruses. Plant viruses cause mosaic formation, leaf rolling, curling, and yellowing of leaves, and dwarfing and stunted growth. Okay. Now coming to the viroids. Sorry, before that, in this image, this is the coronavirus. Coronavirus is basically single-stranded RNA virus, which is the longest known single-stranded RNA virus. Okay, please remember this thing. Coronavirus is single-stranded RNA virus. This image represents coronavirus. Sorry. Next point is viroids. Unlike the viruses, viroids lack the protein code, hence the name viroids. In 1971, T.O. Diener discovered a new infectious agent that was smaller than viruses and caused potato spindle tubal disease. It was found to be a free RNA, which was the viroid. The RNA of viroid is of low molecular weight as compared to viruses. See, in viroids, there is no protein code but only genetic material. Okay. In this image, you can see the structure of viroid. The circular single-stranded RNA with some pairing between complementary bases and loops, with no such pairing, where no such pairing occurs. Okay. Let us move to the next slide. Prions. Prions is a relatively newer concept. In modern medicine, certain infectious neurological diseases were found to be transmitted by an agent consisting of abnormally folded protein. This is the abnormally folded protein. Okay, in this image you can see like the spring. The agent was similar in size to viruses. So prions are also very small in size like the viruses. These were called prions. Most notable diseases caused by prions are bovine spongiform encephalotomy (BSE), commonly known as mad cow disease in cattle, and its analogous variant CR Jacob disease (CJD) in humans. You have to remember these two diseases which is caused by prions. Okay, first one is BSE in animals, cows especially, and in uh, humans CJD, which is CR Jacob disease. Then moving to the next point, lichens. Lichens are symbiotic associations, that is to say, mutually useful association between algae and fungi. The algal component is known as phycobiont and the fungal component as mycobiont. See, algal component is known as phycobiont and next fungal is mycobiont. Symbiotic association means which benefits both the organisms, okay, which are autotrophic and heterotrophic respectively. Algae prepare food for fungi and fungi provide shelter and absorb mineral nutrients and water for its partner. So it is beneficial for both our organisms. Algae is used for preparing for food and fungi in return provide shelter and absorb minerals, nutrients in water for its partner. So close is their association that if one saw a lichen in nature, one would never imagine that they had two different organisms within them. See, this is image of lichen. Okay. Lichens are very good pollution indicators. They do not grow in polluted area. Especially in some area, if there is sulfur pollution, then lichens are absent in that area. Okay. So lichens are good pollution indicators. That's it for now. Thank you for watching this video, and please like, share and subscribe to my channel if you like this video. Thank you very much.